the reviews. It was fantastic. I had a good show. I had a good show. I didn't make a dime, but I was happy. It goes to show you can't make it without money as long as you can pay the bills. That's what I was doing. I was barely paying the bills and paying my musicians and that, but we were having a wonderful time. It was a good show. I knew then that I could decide what tempos the song should be when they're still fast, but but it's my tempo. It's everything then was mine. All of the times on stage, I felt I wanted to sing more ballads. I felt at that moment I was going to do whatever I wanted to do. I was thrilled. And I realized that it was management, that I was missing proper management. I wasn't going anywhere. I'd be in Las Vegas all my life. So then the Olivia Newton-John special came, and they said, they want you. That was the first time I saw Roger Davies.
When Tina and I started discussing it, she said, I want to play the rock halls again. I want to make records again. So what we had to do was get her back in the public eye, because the record industry in America really weren't that interested, because they thought, a lot of them still thought she was with Ike, and he didn't have the greatest reputation. So there was this sort of negative feeling at record companies. So what we started to do then was get publicity. We did a thing with 2020. We started doing shows in rock halls like the Ritz in New York, which became sort of events. As a result of that, a lot of celebrities would turn up at these shows, like Rod Stewart, and then we did a Saturday Night Live appearance with him, and then Jagger and Bowie and Keith Richards, and then after one of those shows at the Ritz, Keith invited Tina to play on some Stones dates on the 1983 tour.
I think sometimes Tina's looks and persona sometimes blinded a lot of other people who didn't, non-musicians, to the fact of what a great singer she is. In a way, for a while, it probably, detracted and probably stopped her from, which it took her quite a long time to actually hit in, right in the mid-80s, before she really nailed her own thing down. Because people tended to think of Tina as like this incredible show person, and because she was, a lot of people never considered just how musical she is, and just what a great voice and how much feeling there is in there, above and beyond the obvious. Everybody knows she's a good singer, but she's an incredible singer. Mm.
On this one particular night, it was the time when EMI had just re-signed David Bowie. I got this phone call from Capitol, our record label, said, well, there's 60 of us coming down tonight or something. I went, huh? What? Why? And it from presidents and heads of international and everything, and it turned out that Bowie, they'd wanted to take Bowie out for a signing dinner or whatever, and he'd just played that album, the really good album, the first Let's Dance album, and apparently had said, oh no, I'm going to go and see my favourite female singer tonight. And they said, oh, who's that? And they said, Tina Turner. And they went, oh, is she on the label? Oh, she's one of ours. I presume that's what happened, because they suddenly came all to the Ritz, and of course David came along with Keith Richards and John McEnroe and Susan Sarandon. It was an interesting combination, and it was a great show. And afterwards, I'll never forget, Tina and I, sort of after the show, Keith said, oh, come back to the hotel, and we went back to the Plaza Hotel, and I had to keep pinching myself to think, is this real? Because what happened was we went back to Keith's suite, and Keith, started playing piano, and David started singing, and Tina started singing, and then Ronnie Wood came in and started playing guitar, and they just were jamming for hours, and it was an amazing night. And I thought, God, if we could get all these people to help us on our record, we'd be happening. So I remember we walked out of there about 7 in the morning, regular hours for Keith, and it was daylight, and it was really exciting. And then Keith asked Tina to do some shows on the next Stones tour, and that's when the momentum started happening, and we did some shows with Rod Stewart, and a lot of those people helped us, and then we... All right, that's enough. Isn't that enough? Wasn't that good?
He's always taking over.
Well, no, she was asking these questions.
He over every single thing. I have no say.
Oh, I'm not so sure how much help I was, but I certainly was enthusiastic about her when she went on her own. Because I thought she was great. Well, she is great. She is great. I think that's the key to her real success. That's the key to her success. Timing. No. I think she's become someone almost that's taken up the fairly traditional position of someone like, be careful here, Bob Hope or Louis Armstrong in the sort of the ambassador of America type position, which hasn't really been filled by anybody, but I think she's more or less done it. I think people actually go and see her not for the songs necessarily, they go to see her for what she represents. I think the baggage of her past travels with her, and they're going to see somebody who, like a phoenix from the ashes, has risen. It's not altogether a bad thing. I mean, she's certainly been through far worse than many of us have been through, and has been able to survive it. And there's that element of resoluteness and discipline and just not letting the world take over from you that people kind of respect and find a great dignity in that. And I think she's got an enormous amount of dignity.
It was time to go to England. England was calling, Europe was calling, and Roger felt, well, we can't go without a record. So
Virgin called us up about this BEF thing. It seemed like an opportunity to at least get a record, because what had been frustrating for me was that we kept doing tours of England and Europe, which were very successful, but we never had a record out. And but Tina had such a good reputation as a live performer in Europe that she could continually go back and play Hammersmith Odeon and places and sell them out without a record, but it just seemed almost counterproductive. It would be great if we had a record. So the BEF thing, we knew that BEF, or Heaven 17, had just had Penthouse and Pavement or whatever. That was a very hip album, and I said to Tina, look, this could be a very hip thing.
And Roger Davis was a pretty shrewd guy, and he spotted that there was a way into the sort of younger market as well over in Europe via our music, and the result of that was Let's Stay Together. She's the only vocalist of all the vocalists that we've ever used that actually rehearses and knows every inflection that she's going to sing before she comes into the studio. A total professional from that point of view. First take, as usual. She's the only person I've ever worked with that does that.
I would like to call two of my producers, Heaven 17, Martin and Glenn, to assist me on my new single from the Heaven 17 group. These are producers of my recent recording, and this one is called Let's Stay Together. Let me say since, babe, since we've been together, loving you forever is all I need. Let me be the one you'll come running to. I'll never be untrue. But love, we ought to stay together, loving you whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do is all right with me. Let me be the one you come running to. I'll never be untrue. Let me say since, baby, since we've been together, loving you forever is all I need.
when Roger came, then that's when she went in the direction that she wanted to go in, and the direction that she knew she should go in. And Roger took her there. He was the one that worked and believed in her.
That record came out in Europe for the tour and became a huge hit. And suddenly, the American company said, well, we need an album straight away. So that's when Private Dancer had to be very hurriedly put together.
I was doing an album a few years ago with a band, and I had a song that we'd just done really with brushes and in a quiet kind of way, a thing called Private Dancer. And I'd heard that she was looking for tunes, and I didn't think that it was going to fit on the record at all. It just didn't have it was so different from any of the other stuff. But I thought it might suit. Apart from anything else, that I think we knew that it wasn't common knowledge then, but it was. I think some of us knew that she'd had a tough life.
When we were having difficulty getting a record deal in America, all the interest was coming from England. So that's why we went to England to record, and that's probably why we got Jeff Beck to play on the record and people like that, and have Mark Knopfler give us a great song. And there was a lot of respect for Tina over there, as she was one of the roots of from the roots of those musicians' sort of earliest influences.